Last time on Kombi Life, we moved into a 55 and older trailer park in the Arizona desert and got busy trying to get our newly purchased wheels to actually turn. But we quickly realised that we were a million miles away from being able to drive this Kombi out of the desert, never mind across the planet. Our limited time in the USA is fast running out, so in this episode, whatever the cost, we simply must get on the road. This is Quartzsite, Arizona. For the past month, we've been living and working here in the desert. And this is the 1973 Volkswagen Kombi that we're intending to drive across the world. As you can see though, it doesn't drive. Well, not yet anyway. But it has to, because in a few months from now, this Kombi must be on a boat from New York City to Europe so we can continue our long drive to Australia. And this is Bill. He's the guy who sold us the bus.
Ben and Leah contacted Samba in search of a high topper. So I sent them an email, and in the middle of summer in Quartzsite, side note, 115 degrees in the shade at 11 o'clock in the morning, they came down and looked it over and decided that it would be the perfect vehicle for what they wanted to do.
It's now January. We didn't really expect to still be here. We had planned to arrive a month ago to collect our running bus. But alas, here we are. We rented a workspace on the edge of town, and every day we rode here, working from sun up to sundown, until we can get this bus moving. This is our life now.
As the Kombi has been sitting for quite a while, we're not sure what the condition of the brakes are. I mean, it's important that we get the engine in and get going, but it's also important that we can stop. So it makes sense to check out what is going on with the brake system. A few problems. Like this spring here, for example, is broken. So only part of the brake was actually closing and working. But, you know, that's a pretty good find. So we're just gonna tear this down now. And basically the point here is just to make sure, get eyes on everything and make sure that we're not going to have any issues down the road that is unforeseen. And also whilst we're here, use things like this anti-seize lubricant to put on some of the nuts here so that we can get them off should we need to change the tyre, when we need to change a tyre further down the road. See, most people that have a car usually get a mechanic to do the brakes, but when you're living in your vehicle and you're doing huge road trips like us, you can only really rely on yourself for the regular maintenance, and brakes is a part of that regular maintenance. So it's important, if you're planning to do a long journey in a vehicle, to kind of get to know how to adjust your brakes, and so you can get yourself out of a hole when you find yourself in one.
With perfect brakes now on all four wheels, we were confident that we could stop when we do eventually get rolling.
What are you doing, Leah?
I am getting these bolts off. Don't know what they are. Don't know what they're attached to. The suspension?
Yes! So we're working on the suspension today. The idea is to raise the bus as much as we possibly can, because we are going to be running a pretty heavy bus. We'll have the engine in it because that's useful, and also a bunch of cargo out the back. So we're expecting the back end of the bus to be running a little heavy. So we're trying to preload the suspension and taking it all apart now and just giving ourselves a bit more height in the back. But we've just noticed, pulling it apart, that the last person to put it together backwards. And also you can see from the bolts here and the nuts that everything's been cross-threaded and chewed up inside. So I don't know who put this on, but they did a really bad job, and it's a good job that we've discovered this now.
Bill continued to work on piecing together the final parts of the motor he was lending us, an air-cooled Type 4 1800cc with 2-litre heads, which, by the way, is built almost entirely from parts which are older than me. It seems like this old engine is putting up a real fight and sure is resisting being pulled out of retirement.
What we want to demonstrate is that when you have perfectly good-looking fuel injection hose on a perfectly good-looking injector, if it's old, the internals are going to be just ratty. So change out those fuel injection lines or another burned bus bites the dust.
We were grateful to Bill for his patience and persistence as side by side we overcame the problems that materialised before us. He's a unique character, but I think the same can be said for anyone who chooses to live year-round in Quartzsite, Arizona. Living alongside Bill at Split Rail RV Park, we got to meet a lot of interesting personalities.
We had first arrived here in summer, when Quartzsite was literally a ghost town. But by now, the town had exploded with snowbirds, flocking to the desert from far and wide. Quartzsite had become the world's largest campsite.
Quartzsite in the winter is amazing. By January, you're going to have close to 1 million people in this town that's built for 3,500 people.
Basically, I came down to get dental work done in Mexico.
No, I wanted to get out of the cold winters.
Now I come down every year and I do a little thing called buying slabs of rock and polishing them and making clocks out of them.
Look at this one. This is basically kryptonite. Seriously, look at it.
This is the rock capital of the world, actually, here in Quartzsite. People have been coming here for almost 60 years now for the quartz and other minerals found here.
On first look, Quartzsite can seem like a dusty, bleak landscape. But when you stop long enough to hear the coyote calls, there is beauty to be discovered in the desert. Ben and I were two of only a handful of the young people in town. This was a first for both of us. Never have we been somewhere where so much of the population was over 55 years old. It was quite inspiring to see so many people choosing to travel in their retirement, choosing to escape winter, and for many, choosing to find adventures in Life 2.0.
Somewhere in the wasteland.
Back with our newly christened adventure-mobile Boomerang, we were still a ways off hearing our Kombi start up for the first time. So in the meantime, Leah and I got to work on the undercarriage.
We've been in Arizona for a lot longer than we thought, and it's the winter weather is going and the summer weather is coming, and it is freaking hot. And we are under the car, scraping and scrubbing, painting, polishing.
Hey Leah, I really like what you're wearing to work today.
It's too hot in Arizona to work.
Whatever it is, it's working.
This bus is a lot more hard work than we thought it was going to be.
We're hoping that Boomerang will be part of our family for many years, and we're stoked that he has minimal rust on his 45-year-old frame, but to prepare him for the long journey ahead, we sandblasted and recoated the undercarriage of the Kombi.
With the undercoating of the bus, we started off using a paintbrush and a big tin of undercoat paint, and it's much easier to use these spray bottles to get into the little cracks and little sections underneath the bus. We're using Permatex rubber undercoating, which we found to be the best one.
We didn't intend to tackle these tasks here, and despite eventually getting everything we needed for the task, the amount of time that it was taken to complete them in Quartzsite was starting to stress us out.
Right at this moment we're as far away from our dream as possible, but luckily Ben and I are going out of town to find some inspiration.
We just need to find ourselves a ride.
Tom here is a long-time friend of Kombi Life, and he's Alaska's road tripping buddy when Leah and I are out of the States. Together, they've driven many miles, and we were stoked to be back on the road and headed to Lake Havasu for Buses by the Bridge.
Buses by the Bridge is one of the best VW campouts in the US, attracting some really cool people, with over 600 VWs in attendance this year, coming in from all over the world.
Yeah, I just like camping with my buddies in the bus. It's really nice to get out and enjoy the bus. You know, that's what it's all about.
Escaping Quartzsite for a couple of days was just what Ben and I needed. We had planned to be here with Boomerang, but even though that couldn't happen, it was great to get some inspiration for what our finished project could look like, and also to see so many of our extended VW family out enjoying the Kombi life. Back at the current Kombi Life headquarters, we realised just how far from completion we were. Progress was being made, but at a crushingly slow pace.
Finally, gas can goes away.
I don't even know how long we've been in Quartzsite now, but it feels like we've been here forever, much longer than what we thought we were going to be, and everything just seems like it's moving along really slowly. Every morning we cycle to the Kombi, and every day we try to do one job and it ends up being 10 jobs, and it just seems like we are never ever going to get out of here. I'm frustrated, Ben's frustrated, poor Bill's probably frustrated with us.
I was just having a ball. Everyone's having a good time.
And I'm taking out my frustration on Ben, which means we're fighting a lot, and all we're doing is just working on this freaking Kombi, and we are dirty all the time. I'm covered in paint, my hair's covered in paint, I'm covered in chemicals, I'm covered in dust. It's just, I've had enough.
You're gonna need a little more heat.
It wasn't just the endless days of filthy work that was getting to us. We had 6 months in the US, and we'd used over half of it before we've even left Quartzsite. If this Kombi isn't fit to get us to New York to meet our boat, we'll have to leave it in America until the following year. Quartzsite has been tough, but we haven't been going through this alone. Bill here has overcome a staggering amount of issues with the engine, and we are super grateful for his blood, sweat, and more than likely tears.
So close to being mobile, I can taste that first test run. Come on!
Are we looking? you want to go? We can go anywhere, babe. We're gonna go everywhere, so we can go anywhere you want.
First drive is boomerang.
First of many. Hey Boomerang, I'm Ben. This is Leah. This is Alaska. We're your new owners.
For the first time in a long time, there is a shimmer of light at the end of the tunnel, and boy does it feel good to be headed somewhere. We now have just 2 months in the USA to get this Kombi ready. It is a huge challenge, and one that we are not going to be able to get through without a little help from our friends. But that is a story for next time. Hey, thanks for watching the video. Did you guys know that there's quite a few videos that we haven't released publicly from this series? Like the one where we discuss the possible vehicle options and how we want to customize our rig for this overland adventure. There was also an extra bonus video from when we were searching for our next home on wheels, and that one where we had a heart-to-heart conversation about our fears, aspirations and dreams for this project. Our first ever video recorded in the Kombi was also released to the Kombi Crew about 12 months before we made the announcement publicly, and we also documented our first awful experience living in our half-restored leaky bus. All of that, plus over 100 extra bonus videos, are available to the Kombi Crew members to say thanks for helping us create this unique docu-series. Join the crew via the join button below this video or visit our Patreon page. This production is only possible because of you guys, so thank you for watching and believing in us. We will see you next Thursday.